On a cool autumn evening in the quiet town of Willow Creek, the life of a beloved young nurse vanished without warning. Emily Carter, 32 years old, was the kind of person everyone seemed to admire. She had an easy smile, a soft voice that calmed patients during their worst moments, and a reputation for giving more of herself than she ever kept. That's why her sudden disappearance sent a wave of fear rippling through the town. On a Monday evening, Emily failed to show up for her night shift at Willow Creek Medical Center. At first, her colleagues assumed she'd fallen ill. But when calls went unanswered, a fellow nurse drove by her house, and what she found was chilling. Emily's car sat parked neatly in the driveway. Her purse was inside, her keys were on the kitchen counter, and the front door was locked. No sign of forced entry, no note, no clue where she had gone. It was as if Emily had simply vanished into thin air. For a community unaccustomed to violent crime, it was unthinkable. Police initially suspected a random act of violence, perhaps an abduction by someone passing through. The town braced itself, hoping she would return, fearing the worst. As investigators began to trace Emily's steps, a more complicated picture emerged. She was known for her dedication, but she also carried burdens no one in her close-knit town fully understood. Her phone records revealed late-night calls to a contact listed only as M. Her bank account showed unusual withdrawals, small amounts, always under $100, spread across several weeks. Co-workers quietly mentioned she'd seemed distracted, perhaps even troubled, in the days leading up to her disappearance. At first, police wondered if Emily had left by choice. But her family insisted that was impossible. She adored her patients, loved her parents, and was planning to attend her best friend's wedding in just 2 weeks. She had no reason to vanish. Still, the investigation suggested that Emily had secrets, ones she had carefully hidden from nearly everyone. The investigation intensified. Detectives canvassed her neighborhood, interviewed friends, combed through security footage. Then, a name surfaced: Mark Daniels, a 38-year-old paramedic at the same hospital where Emily worked. A married man with 2 children, Mark was known around town as a dedicated first responder, someone you'd call a hero without hesitation. At first, Mark appeared cooperative. He admitted he and Emily were close friends, but denied anything more. He joined the search parties, stood with neighbors handing out flyers, even wept when interviewed on television. To many, his grief seemed genuine, but detectives weren't convinced. Traffic cameras placed Mark's truck near Emily Street at 2:15 a.m. the night she disappeared, despite his claim that he had been home asleep. His wife eventually admitted he hadn't come home until just before dawn. When pressed, Mark changed his story, saying he had gone for a drive to clear his head. The inconsistencies grew. Emily's phone records matched late-night calls traced back to Mark's number. One of Emily's co-workers recalled overhearing a tense exchange between the two in the hospital parking lot. And in Emily's journal, investigators found an entry hinting at a relationship that was complicated, dangerous, and tearing her apart. The deeper investigators went, the darker the picture became. Emily and Mark had been involved in a secret relationship for nearly a year. She had grown tired of the lies and wanted him to leave his marriage. Friends would later say she had been determined to move on if he didn't. But Mark, torn between his family and his double life, couldn't let go. As detectives pieced together the timeline, a chilling theory formed. Emily had confronted Mark on the night she disappeared, perhaps issuing an ultimatum. He may have panicked, fearing exposure, fearing the collapse of his carefully built life. Still, the case remained circumstantial. The town, once united in hope, now simmered with suspicion. How could the man who saved lives be suspected of taking one? The mystery deepened when police searched a remote patch of land Mark frequently used for hunting. For days, volunteers combed the woods, finding nothing but broken branches and muddy trails. Then, a cadaver dog alerted at a shallow depression in the earth. Beneath a thin layer of leaves and soil, they uncovered human remains. Dental records would confirm the town's worst fears. It was Emily Carter. The discovery shattered Willow Creek. What began as a baffling disappearance turned into a story of betrayal that cut to the heart of the community. Mark Daniels was arrested and charged with Emily's murder. Prosecutors argued that he had lured her into a final confrontation, killed her in a fit of desperation, and buried her in a place he thought no one would look. His trial revealed the double life he had lived: family man by day, secret lover by night. For Emily's family, the pain was immeasurable. They spoke of her kindness, her laughter, and the void left behind. For the town, the tragedy was compounded by the realization that evil had not come from outside but had grown quietly within their midst. Emily Carter's story remains a haunting reminder of how fragile trust can be, how secrets can twist into tragedies, and how even the safest places can hide the darkest truths. And in Willow Creek, where the streets once felt untouched by violence, people now lock their doors a little tighter and look twice at the faces they thought they knew.